Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cub Chat Live. If you're like me, you're seeing a familiar face and just so excited to have a longtime friend of the show join us today. Lisa is now we're just calling her a Cub Scout committee member, but she's still pretty much a huge VIP on the show. Lisa, thanks for coming back.
Oh, it's so good to be back and see you and see everybody. I'm super excited.
Our audience is really happy to get to talk with you. A reminder for everybody watching, whether you're on a council page or you are on Scouting Magazine, Scout Life, or Boy Scouts of America page, you can hop over to facebook.com/scouting magazine to join the live conversation, or you can sit back, relax, ask questions, and have a conversation wherever you're at. But we will be reading a lot of comments live today. Lisa, when I think the first email that we got from you when we were kind of formulating this show was like, I've got a list. And I was like, that's our Lisa.
Right? We have certain things that we want to cover to make sure that everybody gets what they need. And so that's what we start with is a list, right?
I know. It makes me think of like the picture perfect Cub Scout leader. Today, guys, we're talking about something that I actually don't think a lot of people realize is so integral in Cub Scouting. They associate it with Scouts BSA, but we're talking about service projects and how you can plan a fantastic one. Right, Lisa?
Exactly. Keep in mind that the Boy Scouts of America, which includes Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA, does have 4 aims to the program. And one of them is citizenship training. And what better way to help our youngest scouts learn how to be good citizens than to participate in a service project?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm excited to talk a little bit about how that comes into play. And, Cub Scouting can be a long journey if you're in it the entire time. And it's probably not just a one and done thing. I'm imagining, service is continuing, keeps happening. I know we tease this at the top of the show. We've got a list of tips for planning a wonderful Cub Scout service project. We've got some photos of awesome service projects around the country. And of course, we got to give some shout outs. Hey, Dave, he is tuned in. Rusty in Pack 84 in New Philadelphia, Ohio. Pack 92 in Bolivar, Ohio. Shout out to you guys. Everybody watching, if you will join the conversation of the show, let us know what kind of service projects do you have planned? What have you done this fall? What are you planning in the spring? We want to know. Hike Mike says for his Lions and Tigers, they made thank you cards and bought cookies for the fire department. I like that. I've not heard that. They dropped it off to those working on Valentine's Day. That's a great idea because those firefighters aren't necessarily with anybody else on Valentine's Day.
I like that. So think about that. I love that he did it for Valentine's Day. And one of the things that when you think about a service project is what is it that you're going to, when you're doing something, how can you help the community in need in terms of timing, right? We used to do in our pack, we used to do a Toys for Tots every December. So the kids would actually bring into a pack meeting, they would bring a toy, and we would actually, we were lucky enough to have the Marine Corps send a representative because the Marine Corps actually sponsors Toys for Tots. So we would do that at Christmas time.
That's a great idea. I like the holiday-centric ideas. And Hike Mike has corrected me on something that honestly I should have figured myself. Not Valentine's Day, although that could work too.
Oh,
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day. You know what? I went to Valentine's Day also, but got it.
Quick shout out to Pack 4 in St. Louis, Missouri. And Dave, said they made cards for vets in the VA hospital. Also a great idea. I think Cub Scouts enjoy reaching out to veterans. I think that it's a great mutual relationship there.
Right. Again, it shows that citizenship component. If we're about citizenship training, right? It's a service project giving back towards citizens that gave for their country. So I think that's a really wonderful idea, and it ties everything together.
Yeah, that's a fabulous parallel. We'll be reading some more of you guys' service project experiences as we go on. But first, I want to ask Lisa, what is the secret to planning a Cub Scout service project?
Well, the first thing I like to think about is you need to find a need in your community. There's nothing worse than doing something that nobody's all that interested in. So look at as you plan your service project, and I would encourage you to have at least an annual, one time a year service project, but talk to your chartered partner. Maybe you can build a relationship there. Some of our units have better relationships than others, but talk to your chartered partner. Is there something that you can do for them? A lot of our Cub Scout packs have a relationship with their elementary school. They either meet there, that's where you recruit from. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to build a relationship with your elementary school. Talk to the school principal or the administration. Is there something that your Cub Scout pack could be doing for them? Is there a community-based event, right? Like there's lots of activities that go on for Veterans Day. There's lots of activities that go on around the holidays. How can your Cub Scout pack actually help in the community? So these are things to be thinking about when you're planning your annual service project.
Yeah, this is great. And Mike actually has a really great addition for ideas there. But I also want to say there's no shortage of areas where you can help your community, but you also don't want to just assume and start cleaning up a park or something that they maybe have a system in place, they don't want you there, or there's some ecosystem you could be disturbing. That's where Mike says check with your city. Parks departments regularly have volunteer days, and we'll set one up if you have a group, and it's good for older scouts. That's a good point, especially if you're thinking like Scouts BSA members for trash pickup.
Right. I would never do anything without contacting somebody because, as you said, there's so many opportunities already out there. And so we want to work in partnership with somebody. And you certainly don't want to be sending kids off to do something that, like you said, somebody else is actually going to be doing. The cities, a lot of cities and counties have employees that are supposed to be doing certain things. So you got to stop and think about things like that.
Yeah, I like that creative and thinking about your charter partner first, because a lot of times they're already doing something too, and you
Right.
can really amplify it, I think, with your pack.
Right.
Okay, what's next?
What's next is you actually have to think about what can the kids actually do. The really unique thing about a Cub Scout pack and planning a service project is you have to keep in mind you have kids that are in kindergarten all the way up till 5th grade, right? So what they can physically do varies. How you have to think about how long they could do it, because a kindergartner, their attention span is about 20 or 30 minutes, right? But a 5th grader, you can actually give them multiple instructions and they can go out and do something for a couple of hours. So you need to find a project that'll work for all of those age groups. I would really encourage you to do something nearby, right? Don't be having the parents drive a couple of hours away. And then again, maybe you want to have something that's a little bit more open-ended so that people can drop in when it's convenient for them and they can stay for as long as their child is able to do that.
That seems like it would work really well, for families. If there's a younger kid who's going to be kind of sticking around with their parents, maybe they're not going to be able to be there all day. So I like the ability to be flexible based on ages. The health and safety team would want me to ask, Lisa, are there things that you see packs and dens doing that really are either prohibited or really Cub Scouts shouldn't be doing those things? Do you ever see anything?
Well, in this days and age, I would really encourage you not to pick up trash. It's dangerous. There's broken bottles and cans and things that the kids really shouldn't be picking up. So I would almost guarantee that Richard and team would say, don't be picking up trash. Now, you can certainly go out and work out in the garden, right? And plant flowers for your chartered organization, or if your chartered organization wants you to do some sweeping up somewhere in a parking lot, that would work. But actually picking up the trash, I would probably avoid that.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I have heard Richard say, really, Cub Scout age kids shouldn't be picking up trash, period. Your older scouts, maybe, but they should definitely have some really good gloves on. I've heard that as well. So, yeah, good point.
Right. We think it's such a simple thing. Oh, well, let's just go pick up some trash. But no, it's not, right? You got to think about the logistics of that.
Right. So we've thought about what we can do and we've thought about what our Cub Scouts can do. What's next?
Well, then I would say you need to organize a plan of action. You need to know exactly what it is you're supposed to do. So this is teaming up with somebody. It's teaming up with your chartered partner or teaming up with a local community organization. Whoever the adult is that's planning this should talk to that person in charge and go visit, if possible, beforehand so that when the Cub Scouts show up, you're able to tell them exactly what to do and they're not standing around waiting for some type of plan to be formed, right? And the kids need to know what it is that they need to bring and what it is that they need to be wearing. So if you're doing something like a lot of our units will do a community food drive, right? Be thinking about, okay, they're going to be collecting food door to door. Can they be carrying all that? That kind of gets kind of heavy. Even the parents don't want to be carrying all the food. Do you want the kids running back and forth to a car? Yeah, we did that one year and somebody had said, oh, just, have a car follow along. Well, that got to be a little problematic, right? So we would take wagons so that the kids could go back and forth at the end of the driveway and put the food in the wagon. If we had a series of wagons, then we could just take the wagons back to the car so that the kids can continue to doing whatever it is they needed to do. And then you need to plan for the weather, right? If it's raining, when I lived up in the Pacific Northwest, we always had the kids have raincoats on and boots. If it's cold, they need to have some gloves or mittens. So if you have it on your annual calendar and you know what time of the year it is, then you're able to plan for what the kids are supposed to be wearing.
Okay, so this point in the list makes me think of our episode 2 weeks ago, which was
Okay.
when Anthony went over his safe method for planning Cub Scout activities. And really, that can totally be applied to planning for the day or days of your service project, thinking through the supervision and assessing the environment. Maybe you have to check, health and medical records because of what you're going to be doing. That might be something that comes into play. If you want a recap of that episode, we've got a link at the bottom of the screen where you can watch that one. It's a good one. And then I know we're going to talk more about activity ideas in just a few minutes, but I wanted to read a couple comments if you're okay with it before we.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, so Wendy has two great service projects. So last spring, their pack and troop collected over 5,000 pounds of food from their neighborhood for a local food pantry. They weighed it for us, which is always a really cool thing to be able to tell your scouts the weight. They're grateful for the timely donations as their shelves were running low. They do a food drive at least once per year. And then during COVID, and then each summer as a home activity, they had scouts own a storm drain in the street near their home, and they'd clean debris like leaves that collect over. They did it safely. They probably were familiar with the area being their own neighborhoods. And the mayor actually sent thank you notes to each of them.
How fun is that, right? To get some feedback for what you did. I mean, how wonderful is that?
Absolutely. I'm now this comment that I'm reading, I don't know, it might be my favorite. It's so simple, but I'm thinking of Summer of Service a few years ago. Scouts were really tasked with coming up with service projects that they could continue. It wasn't like a one and done kind of a thing. And so Gabby says that their Cub Scouts wash the tables and chairs for their chartered organization.
I absolutely love that. It takes care of everything. It's age appropriate. It helps your charter partner, right, build a relationship. And they're probably using those things, the Cub Scout pack. And let's just face it, their hands are probably kind of dirty from the activities they've been doing and the food that they've been eating. So to me, it comes kind of full circle. I love that.
Yes. Yeah, I have to agree. It's just so repeatable. It probably just becomes second nature to the scouts. And that's kind of what it's about. Like doing a good turn should just be part of what they do every single day without thinking.
Right?
Um,
Right?
Mike chimes in. This is something I wouldn't think about. So there could be city events like Halloween or Christmas, and kids can set up and run games for the crowds. I'm thinking little kids would be into that, especially maybe there's like a charity component. Like maybe it's an event that's raising money for something else. They're getting to run games, they're getting to have fun, and they're still doing something really great for the community. um, our colleague Eric says that they do two major projects each year, scouting for food and the Great American Cleanup. They try to do something smaller at every pack meeting. So, like September, they do a peanut butter drive. October, they do a sock and coat drive. November, they collect donations for troops overseas. And this December, they collected hygienic items for Collin County Children's Advocacy Center. And this Thanksgiving, they packed meals with Feed My Starving Children. Tomorrow, they're laying wreaths for wreaths across America. I mean,
Wow. That's like, wow. I'm just suggesting put it in your annual calendar and do one a year, but wow, what an amazing program they must have at that pack.
I
That's
agree. Also, those were all kind of fun and the donations were cheap. Like we're thinking socks, things like that. I think it's a great idea.
right, right. And I love that because it's all very doable for that age of kids, right? And that they show up and it sounds like at their pack meetings they kind of do a drop off, right? So the kids at home know that they need to bring something to the pack meeting. And what I love about that is they're not asking the parents to go and do something every single month, right? Go somewhere because we have to think about that, right? Most of our Cub Scout parents are two-parent households. Both parents are working. And so what we're trying to do is we want to keep them in the program. We signed them up. Let's keep them in the program. But by having them do this, just this drop off thing, it shows them citizenship and it doesn't make it onerous on the parents at all. So there's my membership moment too.
No, that's a good perspective that I don't think a lot of us would actually think about. Okay, I have one more comment to read before we move on. I just wanted to give a shout out to the St. Louis Council. They actually do like a Missouri River cleanup in the summer. That's a huge river, so that's quite a task.
Yep.
Okay, we'll read some more of your comments after we keep going through this checklist that
Okay.
will help you plan a wonderful Cub Scout service project. So keep dropping your ideas for service projects or past experiences in the comments. I love reading those, and we're going to look at some pictures soon too.
Okay, so we've talked about finding a need in your community. We've talked about knowing what the kids can and cannot do, and then organizing a plan of action. And then it's actually doing the service project. So what I would really encourage you to do is when you do the service project, if you're doing something outside, be it at your chartering organization, or if you're doing scouting for food, or if you're doing the cleanup along the Missouri River, have some signage out, right? Be thinking about, say, Cub Scouts at work, Scouts at work. For our fall recruiting, we have these plastic yard signs that say, be a scout, join scouting. All you have to do, there's a nice white space on that, say Cub Scouts at work, or you could just use use a piece of cardboard or something. It's just a way for people to be reminded that scouts are still out there and that they're actually doing something, right? They're doing their good turn, they're being good citizens. And remember, while you're having your project, you probably want to have some snacks because kids are always motivated by snacks. And then you need to make sure that you have a restroom somewhere nearby. Be thinking about that, right? These are all things that when you're doing the project, you want to make sure that the kids are having a good time and that they're actually engaged and you're removing all their obstacles or their barriers to having some success.
To go back to, people talk about like active income and passive income. I'm thinking recruitment. There's active recruitment. We talk about it so much in the fall, but just sticking a sign up, like you mentioned, that's your passive recruitment. It doesn't take any effort. And you don't even have to think of it as recruitment. It's just reminding people, like you said, we're still here.
We're still here, and the kids are actually doing something. I can't tell you how many people have stopped by when we were doing for scouting for food. The kids were in their t-shirts. One kid would be carrying a sign around, that said Cub Scouts at work, and people would drive by and they'd stop and they're like, wait, what are you guys doing? And they would give kudos to the kids, and the kids were so proud of themselves for actually somebody recognizing them that they were doing something good for their community.
Yeah. Okay. Also, I think maybe the parents involved with packs and dens forget, because you've got your wild child that you live with and deal with every single day. But to the rest of us, it pulls at your heartstrings. It's the same thing with when you're selling popcorn. It's just like there's these sweet little Cub Scouts. They're doing exactly what I would think Cub Scouts are doing. And it's a feel good moment for everybody.
It is. Absolutely.
You mentioned food and bathrooms. Bathrooms are definitely a given. And you said, Cub Scouts are motivated by food. They absolutely are. So are their parents. I mean, you've got a pizza or something there. I think their parents are going to be happy to come too, drop by too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so we've had the event.
We had the event, and it's always important, number 5, after the event, have a retrospective, right? So have some recognition at the PAC meeting. Like Wendy said that they weighed the food, they had 5,000 pounds. Celebrate that at the PAC meeting, right? Celebrate it big. Everybody gives themselves a clap, a pat on the back. Look at what you guys did. That's amazing. Okay. Ask the Cub Scouts what they did and didn't like. I think it's super important to ask the kids who are actually doing the work what they enjoyed about the experience, maybe what they would change for next time, right? Ask them. And then at your PAC committee meeting, which is where you set your annual plan, because you should have, again, a service project as part of your annual plan, have a discussion. What worked? What didn't work? How were the kids engaged? How many families actually participated? Like if you've been doing the same service project for 4 or 5 years and you see that the number of families participating is going down, maybe you need to switch it up. Think about something different, right? There was a PAC that we talked about that had a service project every single month. I bet anything that they do something for a couple of years and then they switch it up because the needs in the community change, right? The people involved, the people that know somebody in another service organization, so they have an in, change because the volunteers in your unit change. So change it up, keep it fresh. As you talked about earlier, if you're in the Cub Scout program for the long haul, you really don't, the kids get bored by doing the same. I already did that the last 2 years, right? So switch it up, be thinking about that. But that's all part of that retrospective, is taking an honest look at yourself and is this working and what's not working. We do that on the National Cub Scouting Committee all the time. We are constantly looking for feedback on everything that we do.
That's so true. It's like the show. We're always asking for feedback. We'll throw up a URL or a QR code at the end of the show because we want to know what's working, what's not, what can we do that's different. It makes me think too, Anthony, and you also on our show have talked about like keep an open dialogue with the parents, survey them, ask them. They might know about some different projects and things you could be involved in that of course they're going to be new next year because you just never heard of them. Or maybe that family wasn't involved before.
Right. Like we never did when I first started with our PAC years and years ago, we didn't do scouting for food. We didn't do Toys for Tots in December. But somebody new joined and she was at a PAC meeting and she came up to me and she said, we could do scouting, we could do Toys for Tots. I know the parents of the kid who's the current recruiter for the Marines and he'd be happy to come. I mean, it opened it up. It really opened it up. And what the kids liked is then they would go shopping with their parents to buy a toy. And then each child came up individually and handed the Marine their gift. And that was part of our December PAC meeting. And then we went and had a craft time and we did all sorts of fun stuff. But again, it was great because every child got to participate. Every child got a handshake from the Marines, but it was just based off of somebody said, I know the parents of the current Marine guy who's the recruiter. So we were open to that, right?
Yeah, totally. That's the benefit of keeping that open dialogue going with your parents. Also, speaking of Toys for Tots, Jim says that they've done Toys for Tots. They've made cars for deployed troops and local police/firefighters. They had a food drive. They had an annual spring trail cleanup with their troop. The city council and the mayor were both there, I guess. And they served at a soup kitchen and collected winter clothing for kids. All really good, potentially seasonal or like event-based ideas.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep. Again, it's that teaching our children about citizenship by actually doing something. Kids learn by doing something. They don't necessarily learn by being lectured at. So we could lecture them all day long about how to be a good citizen, but by doing a service project, they actually learn how to do that. right?
Yes, and like you said at the top of the show, service projects are really part of citizenship training for these young girls and boys. Dave says service projects are fun to do and they learn too. Okay,
Absolutely.
let's see
Okay.
that list one more time of the checklist before we move on to photos. I know we have a lot of photos to get through in the next few minutes, but just in case you weren't watching, screen grab this. Find, we've run through each of these earlier in the episode, and you'll be able to see those after we're live and rewind. But again, you could screenshot this, keep it on your phone, and maybe you start planning a Cub Scout service project over the holidays. I don't know.
Right. And like I said before, and I can't emphasize it enough, it should be part of your annual plan, right? You can do, one a year, you can do one every other month, you can do one per season, but whatever it is, make it part of your annual plan.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. And I definitely think having it be part of your annual plan or doing it once a year per se is the minimum. Of course, you should be doing it once per year, but if you're able to do it more, or even if there are little subgroups of your pack that are able to do more, that's very cool. So we have some pictures that I think that our Cub Scout community helped supply, right, Lisa?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So take a look. It's the beauty of social media. I love it. See, right here, in this particular picture, I'm betting it looks to me like they're doing some yard cleanup, and I would call that, I've seen that before, probably their chartering organization, right? A fall leaf cleanup. How
Yeah.
wonderful is that?
And I'm gonna give them an A+ because I can see that they've got gloves on. They're being safe. I like that.
Absolutely. I like it. What else do we have?
Oh,
See, more taken,
look at that enthusiasm. It just jumps out of the photo.
he even got a backpack on. I'm not sure what that's all about, but maybe he has all the snacks in there. There you go. Let's call it he has all the snacks in there. All right.
Oh,
Christmas wreaths, I think. He might have.
yeah, or like little mini trees. I'm gonna see if I can get some context for this one by looking at the group here, pulling them
I
up.
love that because they're doing something all together. They're creating something all together, and then I'm guessing that they took them somewhere. Kind of like we've talked about our making cards for our veterans, or things like that. So it's a two-parter, right? The kids all make something together, and then they'll probably take it somewhere. I love
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Okay, so the background on this is it was a holiday service project. The miniature holiday decor stuff, like the ornaments, etc., are all 50% off now. So they went and grabbed them. They got just the tips of some spruce trees and oversized popsicle sticks that form the base with hot glue in like that X shape, and then
Right.
some wire to bind the trees. It's such a great idea.
Yeah, I
I
love
want
that.
I want to see exactly who got those. I'm trying to do a little bit of digging. Um, the pack made Charlie Brown style little Christmas trees for residents of Walker Methodist senior residents. Okay, so those are going to seniors.
Oh, I like that. And then they have their own little private tree in their room. What a great idea to bring some happiness and
Uh-huh.
joy to people at the holiday season. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so what else?
Cub
Ooh.
Scout project, service project. It looks like we've got crayons in a box and scissors and some other things. Do you have any context there, Gina?
I'm so glad you asked. This is the Crayon Initiative Service Project, and their pack had been working on collecting crayons all year, and their local elementary school has allowed us to place a collection tote in the school office for the final week of school. And so I think that they maybe got this idea in this Cub Scout volunteers group, and they'll be melted down to make new crayons, boxed up and donated to children's hospitals. Okay, so it's part of a larger initiative, but
But
I never thought of this.
what I love is that it's the Cub Scout pack working with their elementary school, because we're trying to create and they're creating a relationship, and they're not asking the elementary school for anything. They're actually helping out the elementary school that sounds to me like they were going to do this anyway. So the Cub Scouts are just helping them out, which is great for, I'm having a membership moment here, right? It's a great way to create a relationship. You're not going in and asking anything, is you're telling them how you can help and how the kids at your elementary school can actually help.
That's bringing me back to some of our old Cub Chat lives, Lisa. I remember, yeah, this would fit right in. And if you want to catch past episodes of Cub Chat Live, you actually can. We have a URL where we can direct you to viewing past episodes with yours truly and also yours other truly, Lisa. Um, we have a couple, I think 2 more pictures. Okay, here we go. The context here is this is their PAC's annual service project called Boxes, or they make boxes for Operation Christmas Child. They do a fundraiser of car washes in the summer to pay for the shipping of the boxes. Very smart. And the Scouts collect over some money over the period of time. Last night, they filled 78 boxes with 18 Scouts in the PAC. That is selfless to do the summer car wash just to ship those boxes because so many PACs troops use that as a fundraiser for their units. So to really be doing all that work just to donate it towards another cause is really
pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. And what I love this picture shows is that everybody's on board. You've got the boys and girls that are Cub Scouts, and I see a future Cub Scout there. But again, it's the whole family doing something together. And so I think it's really important to remember that when you do these service projects, it's the whole family that comes, right? Whether or not you're, if you have some kids that are not in Cub Scouts, why not have them do it? Because they can learn something along the way too, right?
Yeah, right. Especially something like this. I think that you're filling boxes with like essential toiletries. You probably have a checklist. There's no reason why, if you have a 3 or 4-year-old little sister or brother at home, that they couldn't make a box as well. No PAC is going to turn that away.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, I think we have one more.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, this is called Scouting for Bikes. Their PAC, with assistance from their troop, collected 93 bikes. The bikes are refurbished if they're needed. So, these are used. So maybe it looks shocking, but it could be attainable, especially around Christmas time if people are upgrading their bikes. So these are donated to local charities for holiday wish lists, or some of them go to the local scout camp. Many bikes looked almost brand new. They collected bikes for 4 hours in the parking lot of their chartered org, just like you suggested, Lisa, using that chartered organization. The scouts then check all the tires and inflate them if needed. They check the brakes, and they receive some bike maintenance tutorials from the adults present if they know how to do that. That's really cool.
I love this because what it showed, there was a lot of work to get the bikes there in the first place, right? But the kids probably did some flyering, they probably did some social media posts, then they used that relationship with their chartered partner, right? The CO to say, well, can we have a collection site? And so the kids were just there, and they probably met people as they drove up with their bikes, and they oohed and awed over the bikes, and the kids felt really good about, wheeling the bike off, and they probably got kudos from the people that were dropping them off. I'm so happy that you're doing that. So there's a lot of building that goodwill in the community, which is so important for our kids to have some positive feedback, so that immediate positive feedback, immediate recognition for what it is that they're doing.
Yeah, and you're so right. They had to do a lot of promotion because I don't think you could get 93 bikes without a little bit of, planning and promotion ahead of time. Honestly, that trailer, does it look like it's just the largest trailer you've ever seen?
Oh my gosh, I love this. This is really, really great.
Yeah, that's really very impressive. Lisa, we're getting comments saying that this is an awesome show. People are saying I've learned so much. There's a lot of new things out there. Totally agree. Keep that idea sharing coming in the comments. You guys have all kinds of innovative service project ideas and even some classic, standbys that you could suggest. Please keep those comments coming. They're really valuable to our community, and other Cub Scout leaders are definitely going to be reading and seeing that after we're live today. Lisa, you were fabulous as always. Is there anything else you would like to add to today's show?
Just a final reminder that in the spring, you'll probably we recommend that you do some planning for the upcoming program year. And when you're sitting down as a PAC committee to do that program planning, remember to include an annual service project, a minimum of one service project that is age appropriate for all the kids from kindergarten through first grade. That's what we're asking you to do. And it promotes one of the aims within the Boy Scouts of America, which is citizenship training.
It's integral. It's integral to the program, you know, it's just as important as anything else that your Cub Scouts are doing. So I'm glad that you brought this to our attention. Again, I think a lot of times people think service projects, well, that's for Eagle Scouts and Scouts BSA members. Cub Scouts just kind of have fun and they do have fun, but you can have fun in your service projects and in planning your service projects.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think this is one of our best episodes, Lisa. I'm not just saying that. We really appreciate everybody tuning in today. One more time, if you want to watch past episodes of Cub Chat Live, you absolutely can. And we are, I tease this and I'm going to deliver. We're always looking for feedback. If you have ideas for future shows, let us know. If you are not loving something about our show, let us know. We can handle it. Just give us all your feedback. Scan the QR code on the screen right now and rate this episode. Lisa, thank you so much. I don't want to let you go, but I think I have to.
It was good to see you again, Gina. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. And like Gina said, keep your comments coming because the National Cub Scouting Committee does look at them, and we're always looking for new ideas for Cub Chat Live.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye everybody.